Hello. Remember me. It has been a while. I am Jimmy Chen, your Holy Bible explainer. And my channel is called Food for Thought. I was testing you. It's called Food for HNM. It is like Food for Thought. We're going to read through the Bible. It is actually a very advanced spiritual, like Christian discipline, to read from the beginning to the end, all the way through. Usually the pastor will feed you the word. He'll teach you the word, and he'll give you some verses from the New Testament and then some verses from the Old Testament. Because it is easier to read the New Testament, but you also need to learn some of the Old Testament, because they sort of give you an idea, a better idea of many things, better idea of who God is, better idea of what he's trying to do on the earth, what he did 2,000 years ago and why, and what does he expect from us? Like, what does he want us to be like? Or, should we believe in him? Jesus, the Lord, he is God. He was born of a virgin, who created everything. It was amazing. He actually decided to come into the world. You know why it's amazing? I'll keep this shorter so we can get to 1 Samuel 4 more quickly. Imagine that this is our universe, not the galaxy, but the entire universe. It's so big. And then this is like a diagram. I'm not playing God. I'm just a man. I am not God. He is God. I am not. I'm not God. But imagine that I'm him, just for illustration purposes. The universe is only this small. The entire universe, I'm this big. I kind of have to be, because I created it. You can manufacture and put together something large, but to create something, you got to be bigger than something that you create. But then I am not the same thing as what I created, the entire universe. And then he's got to jump into it. He's got to shrink himself. See how big I is? And then this is the entire universe. It's humongous, Not the galaxy. I'm saying this entire universe with thousands of galaxies in it. And then he has to shrink. He has to shrink. God, the Creator, has to shrink himself so tiny, so tiny, and be born on the earth, which is, this is the entire universe. The earth is so small, It's amazing, what how do you do that, Okay, let's continue with 1 Samuel 4. It just starts with, "And Samuel's word came to all Israel." The section is titled, "The Philistines Capture the Ark." Now the Israelites went out to fight against the Philistines. So they're sort of the new villains, new bad guys that the Israels have to wipe out, because it's either them or us. And, we're gonna wipe them out. It's the battle to the death. So the Philistines, remember that name? They're the new bad guys. The Israelites camped at Ebenezer, and the Philistines at Aphek. The Philistines deployed their forces to meet Israel, and as the battle spread, Israel was defeated by the Philistines, who killed about 4,000 of them on the battlefield. When the soldiers returned to the camp, The elders of Israel asked, "Why did the Lord bring defeat on us today before the Philistines? Let us bring the ark of the Lord's covenant from Shiloh, so that he may go with us and save us from the hand of our enemies." So the people sent men to Shiloh, and they brought back the ark of the covenant of the Lord Almighty. So really quick, what is the Hebrew word for Lord Almighty? It is Adonai. If you said Adonai Shaddai, you are right. Great job. Remember, Lord is Adonai or Adonai, and Almighty is Shaddai, who is enthroned between the cherubim or the cherubim. Remember the ch is like a. Well, you could say either one. You've heard of these synagogues that Jewish people go to. They're called Chabad, but you could call it Kabad or Chabad. So cherubim, it's cherubim, but you could call it cherubim or herubim. But you kind of have to do a very silent K, like cherubim. And Eli's two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, were there with the ark of the covenant of God, which is not good. If you watch the earlier videos, remember, Eli is the high priest, and his two sons are wicked. They're wicked, bad, very bad. When the ark of the Lord's covenant came into the camp, all Israel raised such a great shout that the ground shook. Hearing the uproar, the Philistines asked, "What's all this shouting in the Hebrew camp?" When they learned that the ark of the Lord had come into the camp, the Philistines were afraid. "A god has come into the camp," they said. "Oh no, nothing like this has happened before. We're doomed. Who will deliver us from the hand of these mighty gods? They are the gods who struck the Egyptians with all kinds of plagues in the wilderness. Be strong, Philistines, be men, or you will be subject to the Hebrews as they have been to you. Be men and fight." It's funny, be a man. Be a man, guys, and fight. So you have to remember Adonai Shaddai. His name is Adonai Eloheinu, the Lord our God. He says, "I am the Lord your God." That is what we read earlier. He says, "I am the Lord your God." And so we call him the Lord our God, Adonai Eloheinu. He is the Lord, Remember, he is God in three persons, but he is not three gods. No. I have to just emphasize that, re-emphasize that. So the Philistines do not have the brains to understand that, God, remember, if you watch my earlier video, there's this triangle-looking diagram that helps to explain. He is God, but he is three persons. He's not three gods. He's one God. Jewish people call him like Adonai Echad. Like he is one. So the Philistines fought, and the Israelites were defeated, and every man fled to his tent. The slaughter was very great. Israel lost. Remember, it's those two priests. Israel lost 30,000 foot soldiers, the ark of God. The ark was captured, and Eli's two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, that's another way to pronounce it, died. So the two priests died. The next section is titled Death of Eli. That same day, a Benjamite. Remember, a Benjamite is a person that is right? He's one of the tribesmen in the tribe of Benjamin. So remember, Israel, if you remember, don't groan. I know. Remember, Israel is divided into something like territories. This is, remember, Manasseh or Manasseh's territory. This is Ephraim's territory. And then there's like Judah, And these are the tribe of Manasseh or Manasseh's territory. They're like states, how we have, because there's a country. So those territories, like how they divided the entire country up, the land that is the land of the certain tribes, they're like states. So this person is from the tribe of Benjamin. He's a Benjamite. So he ran from the battle line and went to Shiloh. Remember, that's where the ark was, with his clothes torn and dust on his head. When he arrived, there was Eli, sitting on his chair by the side of the road, watching, because his heart feared for the ark of God. When the man entered the town and told what had happened, the whole town sent up a cry. Eli heard the outcry and asked, "What is the meaning of this uproar?" The man hurried over to Eli, who was 98 years old and whose eyes had failed so that he could not see. He told Eli, "I have just come from the battle line. I fled from it this very day." Eli asked, "What happened? What happened, my son?" The man who brought the news replied, Israel fled before the Philistines, and the army has suffered heavy losses. Also, your two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead, and the ark of God has been captured." When he mentioned the ark of God, Eli fell backward off his chair by the side of the gate. His neck was broken, and he died. For he was an old man, and he was heavy. He had led Israel 40 years. His daughter-in-law, the wife of Phinehas, was pregnant and near the time of delivery. When she heard the news that the ark of God had been captured, and that her father-in-law and her husband were dead, she went into labor and gave birth, but was overcome by her labor pains. As she was dying, the women attending her said, "Don't despair. You have given birth to a son." But she did not respond or pay any attention. She named the boy Ichabod, saying, "The glory has departed from Israel," because of the capture of the ark of God and the deaths of her father-in-law and her husband. She said, "The glory has departed from Israel, for the ark of God has been captured." Let's go on to 1 Samuel 5. First Samuel 5. It is the next section is titled "The Ark in Ashdod and Ekron." After the Philistines had captured the ark of God, they took it from Ebenezer to Ashdod. Then they carried the ark into Dagon's temple and set it beside Dagon. So remember, Dagon. Dagon's not a god. A long time ago, believe it or not, there were these creatures called demons, and they were like ghosts. Dagon's temple probably were filled with demons. And it is 2023. You may remember that not too long ago there were these demons, or like demon spirits on the earth, but the Lord Jesus sent someone, and that person fought with Kadosh Malakim, and they destroyed all the demon spirits. And there were also devil spirits. Destroyed them all. They're all dead. And right now, all there are strange, strange little things in the air. They're, I don't know what I would call them. They're basically like spirit farts that can talk. And sometimes you might see that they have eyes and a nose and a mouth. They're like farts. But they're very small and they're weak compared to those, I call them DSs, devil and demon spirits. They're all destroyed. The Lord Jesus is mighty. Kill them all. So, when the people of Ashdod rose early the next day, there was Dagon. It was like an idol, a statue of Dagon, fallen on his face on the ground before the ark of the Lord. They took Dagon and put him back in his place. So he just lifted the statue back up. But the following morning, when they rose, there was Dagon, fallen on his face on the ground before the ark of the Lord. His head and hands had been broken off and were lying on the threshold. Only his body remained. That is why, to this day, neither the priests of Dagon nor any others who enter Dagon's temple at Ashdod step on the threshold. The Lord, remember, the Lord's hand was heavy on the people of Ashdod and its vicinity. He brought devastation on them and afflicted them with tumors. When the people, there's a note here. Tumors, Hebrew, Septuagint, and Vulgate. Tumors and rats appeared in their land, and there was death and destruction throughout the city. So one definition of tumor are rats everywhere. And death and destruction, rats carry disease. So they were like diseased rats. And then there must have been so many of them that were chewing on everything, and just like millions of rats. People. Let's go back to where we were. When the people of Ashdod saw what was happening, they said, "The ark of the God of Israel must not stay here with us, because his hand is heavy on us and on Dagon, our God." So they called together all the rulers of the Philistines and asked them, "What shall we do with the ark of the God of Israel?" They answered, "Have the ark of the God of Israel moved to Gath." So they moved the ark of the God of Israel. But after they had moved it, the Lord's hand was against that city, throwing it into a great panic. He afflicted the people of the city, both young and old, with an outbreak of tumors. So let's look at the note here. Tumors in the groin. So they got like testicle cancer. Who knows? Maybe women got it too. So they sent the ark of God to Ekron. As the ark of God was entering Ekron, the people of Ekron cried out, "They have brought the ark of the God of Israel around to kill us and our people." So they called together all the rulers of the Philistines and said, "Send the ark of the God of Israel away. Let it go back to its own place, or it will kill us and our people." For death had filled the city with panic. God's hand was very heavy on it. Those who did not die were afflicted with tumors, and the outcry of the city went up to heaven. Let's keep going to 1 Samuel 6. 1 Samuel 6, the next section is titled, "The Ark Returned to Israel." When the ark of the Lord had been in Philistine territory 7 months, the Philistines called for the priests and the diviners and said, "What shall we do with the ark of the Lord? Tell us how we should send it back to its place." They answered, "If you return the ark of the God of Israel, do not send it back to him without a gift. By all means, send a guilt offering to him. Then you will be healed, and you will know why his hand has not been lifted from you." The Philistines asked, "What guilt offering should we send to him?" They replied, 5 gold tumors and 5 gold rats, according to the number of the Philistine rulers, because the same plague has struck both you and your rulers. Make models of the tumors and of the rats that are destroying the country, and give glory to Israel's God. Perhaps he will lift his hand from you and your gods and your land. Why do you harden your hearts as the Egyptians and Pharaoh did, when Israel's God dealt harshly with them? Did they not send the Israelites out so they could go on their way? Now then, get a new cart ready with 2 cows that have calved and have never been yoked. Hitch the cows to the cart, but take their calves away and pen them up. Take the ark of the Lord and put it on the cart, and in a chest beside it. Put the gold objects you are sending back to him as a guilt offering. Send it on its way, but keep watching it. If it goes up to its own territory toward Beth Shemesh, then the Lord has brought this disaster on us. But if it does not, then we will know that it was not his hand that struck us, but that it happened to us by chance. So they did this. They took 2 such cows and hitched them to the cart and penned up their calves. They placed the ark of the Lord on the cart, and along with it the chest containing the gold rats and the models of the tumors. Then the cows went straight up toward Beth Shemesh, keeping on the road and lowing all the way. They did not turn to the right or to the left. The rulers of the Philistines followed them as far as the border of Beth Shemesh. Now the people of Beth Shemesh were harvesting their wheat in the valley, and when they looked up and saw the ark, they rejoiced at the sight. The cart came to the field of Joshua of Beth Shemesh, and there it stopped beside a large rock, R-O-C-K. The people chopped up the wood of the cart and sacrificed the cows as a burnt offering to the Lord. The Levites took down the ark of the Lord, together with the chest containing the gold objects, and placed them on the large rock. On that day, the people of Beth Shemesh offered burnt offerings and made sacrifices to the Lord. The 5 rulers of the Philistines saw all this, and then returned that same day to Ekron. These are the gold tumors the Philistines sent as a guilt offering to the Lord, 1 each for Ashdod, Gaza, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron. Ekron, Ekron, and the number of the gold rats was according to the number of Philistine towns belonging to the 5 rulers. The fortified towns with their country villages, the large rock on which the Levites set the ark of the Lord is a witness to this day in the field of Joshua of Beth Shemesh. But God struck down some of the inhabitants of Beth Shemesh, putting 70 of them to death, because they looked into the ark of the Lord. The people mourned because of the heavy blow the Lord had dealt them. And the people of Beth Shemesh asked, Who can stand in the presence of the Lord, this holy God? To whom will the ark go up from here? Then they sent messengers to the people of Kiriath Jearim, saying, The Philistines have returned the ark of the Lord. The ark of the Lord, come down and take it up to your town. Let's stop there. So you can see that because of 2 wicked priests and their father, the high priest. The Israelites, I'm summing up, lost 2 battles to the Philistines. And the Philistines, they took the ark. Some of you just know what the ark is. Because for the second battle, they brought the ark in, thinking that the Lord would fight for them. But the ark ended up getting captured. But it's strange. It's like the ark was alive. So, I was saying that God, right? When I started to learn about the Creator, He is 3 things. He is all-powerful. He is all-knowing. And He is like everywhere. He is everywhere, and He is always here, everywhere. So there are 3 omnis, like O-M-N-N-I. O-M-N-I. He's omnipotent. 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 It's kind of a difficult word to say. And then He's omniscient. Some of you are familiar with the word science, right? It's kind of like science. Omniscient. And then He's omnipresent. He's omnipresent. So the ark, they captured it, but he's everywhere. You go over there, He's there. He's just, when they took the ark, God's still around, everywhere. And then God just punished them with all kinds of crazy stuff. So they were like scared, and they like take it back. And so they'll probably not want to capture the ark again in the future. Thanks for listening. Remember, keep God first. He'll take you places.